What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Under Armour Slip Speeds. All right, so Under Armour is calling the Slip Speeds the future of training shoes, and I'm not so sure I would say that something like this is going to be the future of training shoes, but I do appreciate what Under Armour is trying to do and the innovations that they're trying to push. But before we talk about what it feels like to train in them, let's first start with the construction of the Slip Speeds. So first off, we have a couple of different upper materials. The first one is the exterior shell, and it's a synthetic material that's perforated pretty much all throughout of it. There is a little toe bumper overlay, and then it does wrap around the heel part of the shoe. At the very back of the shoe, you have this little heel TPU clip. That's purpose is probably to stabilize the heel and give it just a little bit more stability in that area. And then the thing that you put your foot into, or like the sock or booty, is Under Armour's ISO-Chill material. And when I was wearing these casually without socks or training in them with socks, I felt like they were extremely comfortable. Now, the magic behind these shoes is the ability to collapse this heel area and just slip your foot in during non-training sessions, and then when you want to train, you just pop them back out. So right now, there you go, I got it to stay. So they normally want to stay, there's like some folds in there that keep it down, and even when you have your foot in it with the heel part down and your heel is stepping on it, it's not all that distracting. Obviously, it's gonna have a little bit of a bump there, but it's definitely comfortable to wear these like that. And I really like wearing these just to schlep around and just run my errands. And your heel does stay in place a little bit because you do have this lip here that retains your heel. But otherwise, I wouldn't be doing any kind of vigorous activity in these shoes with the actual ISO-Chill part down. Another cool thing that they added with these shoes is the BOA lacing system. So if you are unfamiliar with the BOA lacing system, the way that it works is you push it down, and then from there, you crank it, and then it tightens up, and then when you want to release it, you just pop it back up. Now it has 12 different spots where it connects into, and each one of these straps runs down the sides of the shoe to give you a locked in fit. Now what I felt like in these shoes is that the BOA lacing only kind of tightened down the mid part of the shoe, and obviously there was no like security around the ankle part, which is a little bit light in cushioning as well. So you never really feel like your heel is all that stable in these shoes, but that's kind of the point of these shoes, right? So the cushioning on this shoe is Under Armour's Flow Foam, and it's just foam. So this is their non-squeaky, grippy, hard-wearing foam, and I can't really attest to like the durability of this foam, but it's been around for a good amount of time, and I haven't really heard too much about the durability of it or it wearing down prematurely. It does provide pretty good grip when you're putting it on like wood, or you're on asphalt, or even rubber gym flooring, but I found that that was a little bit more slippery than some of your more abrasive surfaces. This is definitely not something that was designed to do rope climbs in, so that's not something that I tested with these shoes. I do not expect the foam on these to handle rope abrasion at all. So a nice thing that they added with the outsole or midsole in the shoe, because it's the same thing, is this lip on the lateral side. And what that gives you is a little bit more lateral stability because they are training shoes after all. You do have a little bit more of a lip at the back part of the shoe, which does have a slight rocker. These have a 2mm drop, so they are fairly flat for a training shoe or just a shoe in general, and there's really no toe spring on these shoes, so I really like that about them because you get good ground contact. So since these shoes have no rubber, the grip is provided by just the pattern at the bottom of the shoe, so you have a little bit more of a detailed part at the very forefoot. You've got some pods for your metatarsals, and then you have a more detailed mid part of the shoe, and then kind of a wider grip pattern at the very heel of the shoe. And like I said, I didn't have any issues with grip on the surfaces that I mainly trained on in these shoes. Another benefit of not having any rubber on your shoes is that you're going to shed a little bit of weight. This men's size 10.5 weighed in at 11.9 ounces, which is fairly lightweight for a training shoe. Another cool thing about these shoes is that they're machine washable and they come with their own laundry bag. The instructions are right here on the bag. So I always wash my shoes in the washing machine anyways, but this is a nice little addition. And the directions say, place shoes in laundry bag, machine wash on cold and delicate, which is what I always do as well, and then you let it air dry. So nice little addition, definitely something that I would just do anyways, and I haven't washed these just yet, but I do plan on trying it out at some point. When you go to size your SlipSpeeds, I'm going to recommend that you go with your normal training or running shoe size. So I have recently started sizing everything up to a 10.5 because I feel like my feet have grown throughout the years, and the 10.5s just in about every brand fit me better. So I got these in a 10.5 and they fit me well, though I will say that they are on the wide side. There's a lot of space in the toe box. I think a lot of people are really gonna like that, and I think that they have a little bit more space by design just because of the slip-on factor. So don't expect any way to tighten up the front part of the shoe or around the ankle of the shoe, because the BOA only really tightens down the middle part of the shoe, which is kind of weird when you put your foot into these shoes and try to tighten them up. But given the design of the shoe, I don't think that it's that big a deal, because I mean, it's a slip-on shoe. It's supposed to be a slip-on shoe. There's not really supposed to be all that much like heel lockdown in these shoes because of the way that they're designed. Still, the heel slip in these shoes is pretty minimal, and I really didn't find that it was detracting from anything that I wanted to do in the SlipSpeeds. So when it came to running in these shoes, I thought that they were actually not that bad. They're a little bit on the heavy side and they're a little bit clunky, but the foam is responsive, it's comfortable, and the heel slip is not that distracting in these shoes. They're definitely not something that I'm gonna take out to do any kind of faster paced runs, but if you're going like a low and slow, just kind of chill run, or you just needed a shoe that you could also run in and then go do other things in, I think the SlipSpeeds are gonna be just fine. Like, I would not mind running in these shoes for up to a couple miles. I think that that would be plenty comfortable. They are wide. The only thing that's kind of detracting about running in these shoes is just like the heel stability, which is not all that great. And that kind of carries on over to when you're doing like body weight movements, things like burpees and box jumps and double unders. The heel fit is a little bit distracting, but it's not something that stopped me from using these shoes for any of the workouts that I wanted to do. Once again, they're definitely not something that I would choose for a competition workout or if I was trying to PR a certain workout, but for the everyday WOD, I thought these shoes did just fine. Now, where these shoes were very surprising in was how good they were for lifting. I'm not gonna say that these are PR shoes, but they're a lot better than you think that they would be. The foam is kind of vague with certain movements, but when you're like just hunkered down and you're doing like squats or you're deadlifting, I thought that the response in these shoes and power delivery was actually pretty decent for what it's worth. I mean, it's an all foam midsole. It's not going to be tack sharp responsive. I did some squats up to 70% and I thought the foam was responsive enough. I did some deadlifts up to about 90 or 85% and I was surprisingly stable in these shoes. I'm not gonna say that they're the best. There's a ton of foam there. The 2mm drop is good, but yeah, there is a ton of foam, so it can feel a little vague when you're deadlifting in these shoes, but it's not enough to stop you from being able to pull weights within your range of strength. Now, the one thing that I did not really care for these for was when it came to Olympic weightlifting. The responsiveness there can throw your timing off a little bit. When I was doing some power cleans in these, my catch was a little weird because I just didn't know where I was gonna end up. Same thing went with some snatches. I wouldn't recommend trying to max out your cleans or your snatches in these shoes, or I wouldn't even recommend doing Olympic weightlifting in general, but if you had to, these shoes should be okay. So while these shoes are usable to lift in, they're not something that I would go out of my way to pick over anything else that I had. Okay, so the SlipSpeeds retail for $150, which is not a cheap shoe, but you're really paying for kind of like the technology and the cool design of these shoes. And for $150, I think that they're not really worth it. I really like these shoes, but I would only recommend them to people that just have money to burn. This is not a shoe that I would seriously train in. It's more of a shoe that I just kind of walk around in. I wear because it's easy to put my foot into it. I really like coaching in these shoes. They're extremely comfortable. And I think in a different colorway, this would be a great kind of travel shoe because you'll be able to wear it casually, you'd be able to walk around in it. If you wanted to exercise, you could exercise. You could get in some lighter lifts, even some heavier lifts, to be honest with you. But when it came to actually like trying to PR, trying to do competitions, this is not, to me, an actual training shoe. This is a very, very casual shoe to me. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I do not think that this is the future of training shoes. I think some of the design aspects of it could kind of carry on into the future of training shoes, but the SlipSpeeds as they are now are more just a casual trainer, cool shoe that you're gonna wanna wear around, or you're gonna wanna wear every day because they're comfortable and easy to put your foot into. But with that said, I really like what Under Armour is trying to do with the SlipSpeeds. They're a really cool shoe that nobody asked for. While I don't think that they're the future training shoes, I think that some of the design cues and some of the ways that Under Armour is going about forward thinking about training could make it into mainstream training shoes for the future. But this is not quite it. This is just more of a casual, cool shoe. And I definitely recommend it. If you're looking for something a little bit different, the SlipSpeeds are really cool. They're comfortable. And there's something that you can surprisingly do some training in, though I would not try to PR in these shoes or do anything too crazy. If you guys have any questions about the UA SlipSpeeds, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.